Welcome back to Lanterne Rouge Cycling Podcast for Decathlon AG2R. They have changed team names. It was only in 1999, before Benji was even born, when AG2R were not the first title sponsor of this team. They've obviously been sponsoring them all the way back through to 1998. It's been AG2R first for a long, long time. Now Decathlon, big company, comes in, and I think it's for 5 years. That's the biggest news, I think, for this team, Benji, is they have scooped a major company. They've come in, obviously, with decent money, but Citroën goes out, a big car manufacturer in France, who obviously weren't, I don't know, 3 years is not that long. They obviously signed an initial 3 years, and they're like, not for us.
And it's visibly a morally good sponsor in my eyes as well, as in I'd much rather have a Decathlon show into the sport, which is a sports company, like a sports store company, basically, that also owns other brands like the Van der Rijssel brand, which is known for their bike clothing, but also their bikes now these days. So it's like, I enjoy it. It's a company that you can look at and you're like, ooh, I'm happy that this company's in this sport. It's not some sports washing business jumping in. So that's a good thing.
A consumer
but it's
brand.
Also exactly.
It's not even like Visma is a Norwegian software company. They even do some of the payroll. I got an email from them, but like generally speaking, people watching the tour, like it's not a normal consumer brand. Whereas, Decathlon are. So you can go and get yourself sports equipment at Decathlon. So that's cool.
True, that is correct. But the best thing about it is that it's security for the team for 5 years. A first name sponsor as well. I'm curious where this goes. New bikes included, the Van der Rijssel bikes. You know some more about it, but I've heard they're pretty good bikes.
Yeah, I think the riders have been testing them for a long time. But before this got announced, teams test with the riders. What's the bike like? And it looks like a Tarmac SL7 specialized, and a lot of the bikes come out of the same place. Like it's pretty much like the new Orbea that
Lotto?
The new Orbea that Lotto are riding looks exactly like a Reacto, I think, from having looked at a Merida Reacto. And Merida make a lot of the bikes for everybody. So all these aero bikes are converging and looking pretty similar. And so apparently the Van Rijssel's perfectly fine. I have to look and see, is it much cheaper? Because, it's not supposed to be like the big pricing of some of the, Cervelo Specialized, etc. Although bike prices are coming down a bit.
I think it was 8.5K or something.
But the top one.
Yeah.
Like a Special or a Cervelo one's like 14, I think. Anyway, that's really good news for them. That's really good news for them. They got a big sponsor in for a 5-year deal, and but they're going to have to perform because the last one just dipped. I don't know if AG2R now own the team. I can't remember, or if L'Avenue owns the team still, because they were not good in 2023. Only 7 points ahead of DSM, nearly last in the World Tour ranking without being in the relegation zone. So not good company. They were led by Lotto Destiny, 4,000 points ahead. Israel, 1,000 points near enough ahead of them. And this is the team this is not a low-budget team. They've not been a low-budget team for quite a while, scrimping and saving. They've gone into the transfer market, and they have again. And they didn't have a good year. They won... How many World Tour races did they win?
They won 3 World Tour races, I am pretty sure, which is Giro stage with Aurélien Parepinge, I think, against Leknesund. I'm not sure about that one, though. Felix Gall won 2, which is not Giro stages, but Tour de Suisse and Tour de France when it comes to stage 17 on Col de la Loze, which is a pretty good stage to win. They beat Groupama in GC at the Tour de France. 8th for Gall over Gaudu, so that's, I think, very valuable for a French team like this. 8th at Tour de Suisse for Gall. Ben O'Connor got third at the Dauphiné. Godon won some pro races like Brabantse Pijl, Giro del Veneto. and Nos Peter Trofeo Laiweglia, and that's kind of it when it comes to the notable races. So I do think their World Tour victories were good. Like, they won a Tour de France and a Giro stage. That is valuable. They topped the Tour de France. Exactly. But they're just missing the overall volume of victories and the overall volume of competitiveness across the season. And they'd made some signings. We'll go into them in a second. But the main goal, I believe, the main goal that the thing they need to do is just up it. They need to up the amount of victories that they can potentially get, broaden the spectrum.
Do you think they trade for Groupama's season? Oh.
I actually forgot what Groupama did in 2023, so...
They got points. They were generally competitive in classics. They were generally a better team, but they didn't win anything except a Swiss stage. And
Britannia with Madouas?
And Britannia with Madouas.
Some pro races. Like, the thing about Groupama
it's tough when you think about it. French team. Tour de France stage.
I think they might prefer the French base of talent of Groupama for the future than the one.
No, but I mean strictly the results this year.
Yeah. I don't care. Similar.
It's just interesting whether, Groupama not at a risk of being relegated, but maybe AG2R weren't that too decided. Maybe if you write down win a Tour de France stage as #1 priority during the season and you do that. But yeah, I agree. Like, it was not good. And I think there's a lot of changes that need to be made. Not sure if they have been made. Some of them mistakes of the past, Benji, which was one of them, Greg Van Avermaet, your neighbor, retiring end of this year. Is he?
Not so sure about that.
He, not a good contract for them, and it didn't really work out for them. They expected more. Well, they expected more of him, obviously. I worry they're repeating the mistakes of the past. Marc Sarrou will go to Groupama. Okay, fine. Venturine to Arkea. Charel retires. Cher retires. Lawrence Naesen, we don't know. Baudin, probably they'll get rid of after the Tramadol positive in the Giro. And Antoine Rogel is unclear where he's going, the 24-year-old. So, yeah.
Honestly, when it comes to these outgoings, I think they're fine. Like, I would have made the same decisions. As in, Van Avermaet, you're right, that contract was not valuable for them. All the Citroën money was going to the likes of Greg Van Avermaet. Sarro is interesting, though, as in that's a rider that does do those 2-1 stage wins in like these French stage races.
Poitou Charon.
Yes. Exactly. That kind of stuff. Venturini, I kind of felt like I didn't really feel like he was adding too much.
He's a sprinty, climby boy that can't sprint.
Towards the end of their career, those two. And yeah, Baudin, you said it. Naesen also. Lawrence Naesen hasn't really proven himself too much in this team, I believe. But it's pretty sad to see a Naesen bite the dust. But that being said, when it comes to incoming transfers, 6 riders. Sam Bennett is the big name on it, together with Victor Lafay. And when it comes to Sam Bennett, if we take a look at what he has achieved in the last 2 years, then he hasn't been a dog shit rider either. Like, at Quickstep, he was obviously successful. At Bora, he had that one Vuelta where he did win 2 stages, which had a lot of help of Danny Van Poppel with a perfect lead out every time, but still, like, you still got to win them. And in 2023, that's when it wasn't just, it just wasn't very good. Like, top 3s at UAE Tour is about the best result I see throughout the entire season, because I don't consider winning a San Juan stage better than a top 3 in a sprint at the UAE Tour necessarily. So, yeah, it has been a shit season for Sam Bennett, but I'm curious how they're going to do it. As in, is the idea to send Bennett to the Tour de France and potentially start winning a Tour de France stage with him? Or is it to clean up as many wins as possible, including the way that Groupama was sending Demar towards these like Poitou-Charentes and all these kind of like 4 or 5 day races in France where Bennett can also clean up sprints. So
true.
I think a combination of the planning might be ideal, because then you can get more victories in general and potentially that extra World Tour victory.
Yeah, I think it's both, I dare say. He's definitely brought in to go for the tour. I think one of their head coaches or trainers, I can't remember his name, Barrett, he's Irish. Anyway, I think
Barreter.
he he's brought in. He would have been probably the one going for Bennett to bring him in. Ryan Mullen didn't come across with him. He extended with Bora Hansgrohe, which is perhaps telling of where Ryan Mullen thinks the direction of travel is. And yeah, Bennett won't be on a cheap contract. He said so
Yep.
himself. He did an interview. I can't remember where. I read it recently, maybe a week ago. Luke will let me know. He did an interview where he basically said, yeah, like, well, I think it might have been GCN with Benson. Wells was coming with Bora, but, makes sense for Bora because Bora can pay Welsford less because he doesn't have my Palmares. And so, I would assume Welsford is on, I would assume Bennett is on 7 figures, maybe low 7 figures, I don't know. And Lafay is the same. So Lafay comes in after winning Tour de France stage and being competitive in another one, but then also kind of chilling after those 2 stages. He basically,
Yeah.
I don't think he picked up a bike for the rest of the year. He's also on decent money. He's got to be on maybe a million. I don't think it's 1.5. Someone told me that it's the 1.5. People saying it's not true. It's more like 1. But still decent money for Victor Lafay. So how do you rate those 2 marquee signings, Benji?
It's interesting as if I take a look at these 6 riders, I do believe Bennett and Lafay have potential upside. Like, there is something there where they could benefit from this. But I also have that thing in my head that's saying, ooh, there's a tiny question mark in terms of, is this a gamble? Is signing Bennett a gamble at this point in his career? Is signing Lafay, who isn't the most professional rider of the bike, according to his ex-teammates, well, is that also a gamble? Yes, those are both gambles. And in the past, I've never trusted the transfer policies of this team. They are spending big money on riders that are gambles and might not prove to be the riders they want them to be in the first place. With Bennett and Lafay, I'm kind of on the page of like, I'm okay with these transfers, but it's still a risk. And
they needed a sprinter, but they should have gone for someone like Coy. They should have thrown the bag at Coy.
Something like that, or also maybe go for youngsters that might grow into a sprinter instead of going for a dedicated, already existing sprinter yet. Like, is it weird that you might want to try and sign Ethan Vernon, who is a bit better than Sarro, for example, and in that way you have some kind of sprinter on the third row, and then maybe you can find a sprinter that is similar to Bauhaus, which you can work with, something like that. And
yeah, but
I'd rather see that.
Vernon costs the same as Wells for just about.
Really now?
Yeah.
Well, that's just stupid, is it?
Well, what team's he gone to?
Israel.
So,
right?
Yeah.
Okay. Wasn't sure for a second. By the way, before we continue, how much of AG2R spending a lot of money on riders in transfer seasons is related to their transfer policy and the way they do their transfers versus the social system in France where they need to pay more in general?
Yeah, that's a great point, because in case people don't know, and this came up, people are trying to understand it, although some people on Twitter confused tax residency with citizenship with the Shohei Ohtani signing with the Los Angeles Dodgers, because he deferred a large portion of his salary, 98% of it, to 10 years from now. And I don't know Californian state tax law too well. I know the Californian state taxes are very high. And so some people saying, well, it doesn't matter that he deferred that, even if he becomes a Japanese tax resident in 10 years, because he'll be taxed still, or if he moves to Texas, rather, because he'll still be taxed because that income is sourced in California. And so the reason I'm mentioning that is because, in case you don't know, even if you live in Andorra or Monaco or San Marino or Switzerland with a negotiated canton with low tax, if you're on a French team, if you ride the Tour, every day you train in France, every race you do in France, every bonus from a race in France gets taxed at the French tax rate. So,
Okay.
and on top of what Benji mentioned, extra social security if you're an employed rider is higher, those contributions. So they're having to pay more. And this happens on a smaller scale in American sports where there are tax advantages playing for a Florida team as opposed to, as I said, a Californian team or a New York team. But I think it's actually potentially significantly larger, the burden for the French teams, because you could have guys living in Monaco who pay, if they're not on a French registered team, just about 0% marginal tax rate on all income, just about.
But it's like that's an existing thing. But in my eyes, that also doesn't excuse the shit transfers they did in the past fully.
Oh yeah, they're still wasting money. No, but that's often, that is true, and it should be remembered, and it is a burden for the French teams. Now the counter to that is they have France TV League, the French Cycling League, automatic invitations to the Tour de France, even if they're a Pro Conti team, historically, to keep them going, and incumbent sponsors and more riders to ride for lower salaries. So there's swings and roundabouts in this. Like, you know, JCO riders might necessarily earn more. There might be higher costs for JCO in terms of finding sponsors and logistics costs as well. So swings and roundabouts. And it's to be remembered, but it doesn't excuse, obviously, poor signings and wasting money. Dries de Bont also comes in from Alpecin de Koning. A little bit strange, that one, I think, actually.
Could be good.
But could be good. Could be good. Might not be. He's certainly not he's certainly not a prolific winner. I see him more as honestly, as a guy who was sort of good as in like the early middle phase of classics.
Yes,
setting up Vanderpool.
The anticipator.
Not much more than that. Yeah, but not really a serious one. Just like a bait one, you know.
Isn't that the only way that this team can be getting good results in classics anyway? By having the Bond and Oliver Naesen go in, anticipating moves, and them working together to try and get into a later phase of the race and maybe score a top 5 or top 10 that way.
Yeah.
It's difficult, but
I wouldn't have paid someone with a Grand Tour stage win on the Palmares for the privilege of it, though.
True.
They also bring in Sander de Pestel from Team Flanders Baloise, 25 years old. He's been on that team for quite a while. No pro wins, 6th at Antwerp Port Epic this year, 11th at Dwars door Het Hageland, 10th at Ronde van Limburg. So, like, okay results, but nothing mind-blowing, but looks solid enough as a classics rouleur. And Gianluca Polafliet, which is a pretty crack name, I've got to say. What a name. He signed a full 3-year deal. He comes from Lotto's development team. He's 21 years old. He's pretty good. He's also a classics guy. And yes, as Benji said, looks quite nice, actually.
Omloop U23 victory. Memorial van Koningslaw, which is a race, apparently. And it's also like top 5 at Giro Next Gen, Giro U23. So it's like throughout the season, whatever terrain is, he can compete in. It's like a Giro U23, it's the sprinty races that he did well in, it seems. So the flat sprints, he won a reduced sprint behind. He gets 4th in other sprints. So curious if he's got the combination of maybe being a bit of a slide classics towards sprinter type, like a B-Tech is maybe over the top, but maybe a V-Tech Bonen.
Wait, you compared this guy to Tom Bonen?
A V-Tech.
Benji, I didn't know this kid's name until you wrote on the list.
I'm just trying to find a rider that...
This is the problem with Belgium. A kid steps on a bike, does a lap around the block. They're like, ooh, is it Frank Vandenbroek I'm seeing? Or is it Philippe Gilbert? Nah, it's Tom Bonen. It's like, yeah, but his VO2 max is 30.
You know what I mean?
No, I don't. No, I don't. V-Tech. V. It's 27 letters or something. How many letters in the alphabet?
25?
So it's not 26.
I have to Google this. How many letters in the alphabet?
I mean, AG2R La Mondiale, Decathlon La Provence, Casino has a lot of them. 26. Okay, so I was wrong.
Fuck. We're stupid.
Yep. Armirail is also a funny one where, like, I don't think he's that cheap, but he's also, like, not a prolific winner.
Don't hate on Bruno. I love him.
No. I'm not hating on him. I'm just saying, like, maybe he didn't want to be at Groupama anymore, not being allowed to go in breakaways to help people come 11th in GC, and that's why he moved. I don't know. Maybe they paid him more. I think he'll be on a little bit of cash as a French rider who was in the pink jersey for quite a while with a new sponsor coming in, I would suspect. So, again, I don't hate the rider. I think he's actually quite a nice rider who deserves more opportunity. Same with Lafay. But
French ITT champ? Can do that again, maybe.
I think Groupama's setup is pretty good.
True.
I wouldn't expect that.
Because Cavagna was his competition, Thomas.
Cavagna's on Movistar now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
you're right.
Could clean that again next year.
He might win the French national champs TT.
Hey, it matters in France.
I think there's a fair bit of outlay there. I would have gone for probably a different sprinter, particularly in respect of classics and points. The interesting thing about this team, though, is not all the signings are bad, though, Benji. Like, I feel like their scouting of foreign young riders, is good. Felix Gall turned into a top 4 climber in the Tour de France by the end of the third week.
Correct.
They brought him. They signed him after he was on DSM for probably nothing, and then they extended him, and I dare say that extension is below market value to the end of 2025. So they've done some good business there. You know, he really broke out this season and good in Basque Country too, not just the Tour de France. O'Connor, they got him after Quebec folded, and he came fourth in the Tour of the Stage, and he podiumed the Dauphiné again this year. Now, then the flip side is Cosnefroy, absolutely horrendous year, drinking beers during the Tour stages, and but he gets a 2-year extension or out to 25. So some's good, some's bad. I think there's more of a problem, Benji, that they just got to get more out of these riders. They just got to consistently get more out of these riders, because they do have riders who should be capable of more on this team consistently.
The thing is, we spoke about Felix Gall. Felix Gall, you're right, won Col de la Loze, did that top 10 at the Tour de France, made that step up. But I'm wondering, how can they get more out of him? What is his next step? And I vividly recall hearing him say in an interview that they didn't work on his time trial at all in 2023. And that is something that he wants to look at, because he feels like there's an upside there that they haven't discovered yet. So, number one, I'd like to see...
Didn't he lose 6 GC positions on the Swiss TT?
I think he had. Yes. I think he did.
So, like, that's...
Example. So that's a perfect example. I want to see where they can reach that. The Van Rijssel TT setup, maybe it's great, maybe it's not as great. I don't know. We haven't seen it in action yet. But the rumors sound that the setup's pretty good. But it's not all about the bike. It's about what they do with the riders combining with the bike. Exactly. Staff, but also how much money do they spend on getting Felix Gall into a wind tunnel? So stuff like will they do custom extensions for the man? All these tiny things that could improve his TT results. And that differs the question between being a great climber or, as in, that makes the difference for me between being Quintana in a 1 week race or being Quintana when he could actually time trial a bit in that one Giro.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
you just got to be good enough that you can do a competent TT on a rolling course.
Yes.
On a 45, 47k an hour course as a climber, you got to be able to just do a competent TT.
Enric Mas TT.
Shell time. Yeah, exactly. That's a good. He came 91st in that TT, and he lost 6 positions from 2nd to 8th. 91st in a TT where he was trying for his life. By the way, the 110 riders finished. He finished 11 seconds ahead of Sagan, who was a paid actor this year. And that,
true.
he was. Literally. So they got to work on that. And yeah, there's just, they got to get more out of these riders.
But what would you see Gull do in 2024 then in terms of schedule? As in, if you want this TT to be better, if he's one of the best climbers in the world.
With a TT, Basque Country, you got to do that.
1 week races, I'm looking at. I want to see him do GC in 1 week races, preferably the one without TTs. You're right, or limited TTs in that sense. But when it comes to Grand Tours, you almost have to send them to the Tour de France.
Yeah, he has to do the Tour.
Because sponsors won't care as much for the Giro, even though the climbs there might fit him. But the climbs at the Tour de France this year in 2024 fit him as well, to be honest. And then I'm wondering, do you let him go GC? Or do you go for GC top 10 plus stages again, but hope to win 2 stages now instead of 1?
I think you do it for GC, and then when you lose 6 minutes, you get in the break, back in the 3rd week, and then you get time back, and you just O'Connor it. And I think that's what they'll do. I think that's the way to approach it. And your TT doesn't. If you're not going for the win, you're not going for the podium. You're going for a top 10 and a stage win. Then the TT shouldn't matter too much in that respect. I think O'Connor should do the Giro.
That's what I was going to ask. Does this mean O'Connor does the Giro? And go ahead,
he should do the Giro. Well, his TT was in the Dauphiné was actually very good on a rolling course. I think his TT is what you mentioned. It's a competent climber's TT, and not the best, but it's pretty good on his day, and he's not just shelling time. He is good in the cold, good in the bad conditions. That's how he won his Tour stage in 2021. Like he rides in Andorra just like 6 hours in -5, no problem. Really, really good in the cold.
Crazy people, those Aussies in Andorra.
I seem to remember on Ventoux in the heat, he wasn't so good in 21 as well. So I think the Giro is really, really a good fit for him. I think the climbs, I don't know. I think it's a weaker competition of the Giro. I think he should really do it. And then I think the Grand Départ in Italy is very good for Lefebvre and Cosnefroy.
Yeah.
But do you send both? Who's got the better flat sprint? Benoit.
Yeah, but they're not going to win the stage.
Why not?
They need to win by attacking, and then Lefebvre is the one where I'm looking at. They need to benefit from the similar situation that Lefebvre benefited from in 2023. Yeah. They can't win this reduced sprint after the climb. It's just not happening.
Why not?
Because they're not good enough, man.
Who's there? Who's there?
Who's there at the Tour? Pogacar?
Yeah.
Depending on whether he agrees with going to the Giro or not, but Pogacar's going to be there. In 1 or 2, Wout van Aert might get over. He won't be there. He's at the Giro.
And Arsenal too.
Pogacar's there. Van der Poel might be there in certain ones. If he goes to the Tour de France. Literally everyone is except for Pogacar. Pogacar's going to be there and it's better, okay?
I don't know. Benoit Cosnefroy are scary good.
Brother. Pogacar with a single leg.
Better than Pogacar in the two.
Pogacar with a single leg beats Cosnefroy every day of the week.
With one leg.
Yes.
I'm inclined to agree with you. I don't know. I think that start is they got to go for it again. Particularly Lefebvre, I think, is doing the Tour, and I think Benoit, I don't know what they'll do. Maybe they'll send him to the Giro, but they got to get some more out of him.
It's not just the start that matters. They like breakaway stages. Lefebvre can also actually compete for. I see that the problem with the Tour de France is that GC has become so competitive that breakaways are being dictated by the GC fight to the point that there are not that many GC victories, breakaway victories in the Tour de France that are being contested. And the problem to add on to that in my head is because they're so limited, it's always the top riders fighting it out against each other.
Yeah, the people that win the break stages half the time are GC riders. Gall finished top 10. Bilbao finished top 10. Hindley finished top 10. Rodriguez, no, that wasn't a break. So really, it's like Walt Pools, Izagirre were pure break stages. I just can't remember who won 10.
Asgreen.
Bilbao. And Asgreen, but that's not like a Lefebvre sort of stage.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I want. They need to sit down this offseason and think we have to get more out of consistent performance in the hill classics. This guy, I remember, Benoit's won. Oh no, he didn't. They said he won the Amstel Gold Race, but he didn't. But he's nearly won Amstel Gold Race last year. He is like, they got to get more points out of him and other riders.
I'm sorry, but Benoit's washed.
He's 28.
Like,
you don't think
his season in 2023 wasn't enough. Quebec winning in 2022 was good. He can come back. Don't get me wrong, but 2023 wasn't good enough. So Lafay is better right now.
No, 2023 was like, for someone who raced 71 days, it's not like he was injured half the year. Horrific season. Lafay is better. Do you think, here's who's out of contract. APP, who won the PP brothers, were really, really good in the Giro, actually. And he won Giro stage. Dude, they're actually good. I actually like them in the Giro. Frank Bonnemour, who after being good in the Britannia Classic has not kicked on. Stan de Wolf hasn't. He was sort of the younger one of the Classics guys they signed with GVA. He didn't improve. Warbas, Tuze, Prudhomme, Hananen, Ugotra, VPP, and Ratoyu. But do you think they keep O'Connor?
First of all, I think they have to keep the APP and the VPP.
Yep.
I think there's probably no harm in extending the Wolf because he probably won't be that expensive to do so in the first place.
He's gone. Zero chance he stays.
I think Warbaz is gone.
To EF or something. Or retires.
Probably. I don't know. I don't see him next year in prominence. Ben O'Connor. Depends on the market. I haven't really checked out what comes available in 2024, but
Hindley, O'Connor, they're the best two.
Does O'Connor want to stay is the question I have as well. Because like being at AG2R for 4 years, I don't know. I see him leave out of his own choice.
If I was him, I'd go to Ineos or somewhere else.
Or I try and get a bid from UAE to become a domestique 5 figures.
Nah, I don't think he'll be into that. I don't know. Don't want to speak for him, but I think it'd be cool to see him at Jayco. Obviously, Simon Yates, I think, is out of contract as well. Will he leave? And I'd love to see an Australian GC rider, either Hindley and O'Connor or both, at Jayco. Because also Jayco, you know which team, apart from UAE, you know who was the best team at the Tour and GC? Not UAE or Jumbo? Jayco. Little old Jayco came fourth. People forget.
I've got it. O'Connor to Intermarché.
Nah, don't be disrespectful.
to Intermarché or to O'Connor? You're going to roast one of the two now.
He's a little bit better than that. It'll be Trek, Ineos, Jayco.
It'll be better than that.
Because if you're looking at him, you're thinking, oh, we can get more out of this guy too. He's performed in spite of.
100%.
So I would dare say he's gone. De Wolf, not sure. Okay, 2024, Benji, what are the goals? Win a tour stage? Top 10 GC?
Yes.
What else?
Being more successful. Don't get relegated. And for that, you need to be more successful on a broader spectrum of races, including those smaller French races, including more of the 1 week races throughout the season and their stages. Just across the board, they need to compete more. I'm happy with their Grand Tour level. Like, I'm happy with 2 Grand Tour stage wins for AG2R.
That's really good.
They just need to do more.
Yeah, they got to be. The problem for teams like this is, and I dare say this is why a lot of managers are fed up, right? Is you can't. You say, oh, okay, well, they need a. Why don't, if APP is good enough to win that Giro stage, why doesn't he win a Paris-Nice stage? Why doesn't he win Dauphiné stage or Swiss stage? The problem is, no one can fucking win a stage in a World Tour race that isn't on UAE or Visma because there's no breakaways allowed. Every day the break gets chased. In the Vuelta, every day the break gets chased. And so there's actually, I haven't done a historical analysis of it, but for sure I know that the sentiment is that these stages that typically these teams would count on for these sort of sub-elite riders, no, they're elite riders, but like not, the Pogacars of the world, to get in the breakaways outside of the Tour, they're also being won by the GC group. So it's tough for them.
I agree and disagree because I still believe, like, for these teams, winning a stage in Polonia with Bennett is valuable. Winning a stage in Romandy with someone is valuable. So I think it's about trying to find a race program that circumvents that issue a bit where possible.
And I agree. I was being generous playing devil's advocate. But yeah.
Trying to get O'Connor once again a podium like he did at Dauphiné, but maybe at 2 1-week races where maybe you've got Romandy or something where I think in Romandy he can get close, but depending on the parkour. In Swiss, he might be able to get close depending on the parkour, like those kind of things. Depends on what the season looks like, because doing Swiss after doing the Giro, not exactly the likeliest of things. But like,
it's actually, you can combine it. It's okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. No problem then. He might want the resto after the Giro, personally. He doesn't want to become Haig and get sent to every single race in the year.
Well, he's won the Giro. He can do what he likes. In my world. But yeah, they got it. So yeah, Tour stage don't get relegated. Cobbles, they're going to do nothing. They're going to do nothing. And I guess try and we haven't really spoken. Who's the lead out for Bennett, by the way?
Well, am I supposed to invent a rider that doesn't exist?
Yeah.
There's
Benji,
no one in this
bro.
team.
Patrick Naesen. Dude.
Like, and ironically...
Clement Berthet. Just he's nice.
Nah.
Just quietly.
And ironically, Oliver Naesen or Lawrence Naesen I would have actually tried to put in the train somewhere in like some of these smaller races. Or...
I mean, fuck, there's not much else.
Well, you got to go with the rulers you have here. Like, the Bond in the train in like 3rd, 4th position.
He's the last man, dude. The Bond's the last man.
But he shouldn't have to be.
He is. Look at the list of the people on the roster.
I don't know, man. Bollefleet might unironically be part of the lead out at some point.
Who? Oh,
Bollefleet?
Yep. Godon. Yeah, Tom Bonin Jr. Godon and Gautera. I think Gautera is a sprinty boy. He came 7th in the... Okay, I found the train. De Bon. No, I'm not joking. Get serious for a minute, Benji, here. De Bont. Gautera.
Where did you get that from?
Gautera came 7th in Le Sommet.
Man.
And he won. He
My
came
fucking
5th
dog
in
can get
pace.
7th in Le Sommet.
Nah, he can't.
He's Belgian, so.
He's like, he beat U23 sprinters in Course Le Pays Grand Prix Jasinski. He's like, he can hit 1,000. Benji, I'm looking through this list. No one can hit 1,000 watts. 24 of the riders can't hit 1,000-watt peak. Okay? So, like, we're fucking trying here. And so this 20-year-old French kid who can hit at least 1150, he's in. And 1,500 for 50, but so there you go. That's the leader. And Godon is kind of like big and he can sprint, so he's evidently in there. But yeah, it ain't Shane Archibald, Ryan Mullen, and Danny Van Poppel. Will tell you that for free. So
I think Naesen is lead out.
Yeah, I mean they've still got how many people on spaces have they got? They got 2 spots, 3. All right, over unders, and we'll get out of here, Benji. Or
okay.
How many World Tour wins?
They had 3 World Tour victories in 2023. I'm going to go for 4 World Tour victories in 2024.
I'm going 3. Going 3 again. 3
okay. Again. Hot takes.
I was going to say they finished in the relegation zone. It's just not possible.
It's not a hot take.
That is a hot take. There's a
okay, that is a hot take. You're right.
Okay, really shit. But they now got Demar. 2,000 point gap. Can Arkea bridge 2,000 points? Nah, they can't. Lefay's not. Lefay top 10 flash and race like that.
He can potentially podium flash, to be honest. If he finds his will to ride.
I don't really have any hot takes. Like, I don't want to just... I don't want to be too mean. Trying to be positive, Patrick. That's my 2024 resolution.
Felix Gall top 5's the Tour de France.
That is a hot take. That's really hot.
I'm smoking today. Smoking hot.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Victor Lefay wins Liège.
Possible. Probably not. But it's hot.
O'Connor wins the Giro as an actual one. O'Connor going to win the Giro.
You
Australian bastard.
Like 2 minutes ago, you looked like head empty, no thoughts for like 2 minutes straight.
It took a while. I was stuck on the lead out, trying to construct the lead out for AG2R. Yep, so Ben O'Connor's going to win the Giro d'Italia. That's going to be really, really good. And then he is going to, I would assume, or maybe they give him a monster extension then, and he gets Decathlon, a Decathlon Platinum Silver gift card, unlimited for life. And he's like, this is better than any other contract I could get. So maybe that's what happens. But yeah, that's the Decathlon AG2R preview. Good to see they got a big sponsor in. Keen to see how the bikes perform and look. Good to also have a new bike brand joining the World Tour market. Hopefully they have a better year than 2023. And hopefully some of these young guys kick on. And some of the other guys like Benoit refined their best level. Yeah. But until the next one, who's our next pod?
Good question. If I take a look at our list here, we've got Wismar Bora. Do you feel like doing that?
Well, we're recording this on Wednesday, 13 December. Do you reckon we'll have a resolution by then? Jumbo's team presentation is just before Christmas, so it would make sense to do it after that.
We can do it on Christmas, Wismar.
Why don't we do? I'm not doing fucking do enough work for them. Not doing their preview on Christmas Day. We can do a Q&A for Christmas.
We can do Arkea.
Yeah, we'll do Arkea. Let's do our... Jesus. Listen, French fans. We share our fair few of French fans. We just know. Arkea full dedicated preview. In the off-season. I'm at the beach right now. I'm still doing it. Talking about how you're going to get relegated if you're an Arkea fan. They had the Excalibur. You know what's harder, Benji? What's harder? Arkea not getting relegated, or Arnaud Demar pulling that sword, Excalibur sword, out of the stone in the press release?
I don't know. Their kid looks good though.
The kid looks good, yeah. every team has just gone for a white kit next year, which is going to be great. Can't wait to not be able to pick anyone. I guess navies and whites. All right, that's all from us. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you with maybe Archaea next time. Until then, ciao.